Hello. I've taken off my makeup. I've done my nighttime skincare, most of it. And I decided to do this tag that's been going around YouTube for a while that I've had on my list of ones to do for a while and I just haven't done it. It's called the Nosy Librarian tag. It's got 10 questions. So the first question is, what has been the most influential library in your life? I don't know. I don't know if a library is really influential. Probably the one I grew up with, because I grew up with it and it introduced me to the amazingness of the Illinois, now called the Illinois Heartland Library System. I'm still partial to the old name, which is the Lewis and Clark Library System. That covers most of Illinois. There's also an amazing out-of-system program at my library. I currently live in the town where I grew up, so that's my current library as well. I know all the people, they know me. I am one of the people that the shelf that they put holes on, yeah, my stack doesn't fit there. It has to go on the top, tall ways, and now I have a sticky note with my name, because I'm one of the people that does that frequently. Yeah, so I guess that one, if I had to pick. Question 2 is honest assessment. What would they title your biography? Honestly, they probably wouldn't write one because they wouldn't know I existed. That's just how things go. Question 3, the story from your life that you most hope your librarian never finds out. So, I'm picking a bookish story because why wouldn't you? When I was a kid, I still read in the bathtub some, but I used to do it a lot when I was a kid. And I had this book. It was one of the Heartland series. It's a series of horse books. And I had it checked out and I was reading it in the library. And I dropped it in the bathtub. I was horrified. Like, I was scared that I'd get in trouble with the library, but mainly I was just horrified that I hurt a book. Like, I was devastated. But my dad fixed it. He, you know the little fold-top sandwich bags? He got the book and, like, flung out most of the water, put a sandwich bag in between each and every page, and, like, dried it. We returned it to the library, and they never noticed. I never got charged a thing. So that's my story. Question 4 is, what is your favorite word? So this might be kind of cliche, but my favorite word is why. Because I always want to know why everything. Why does this work the way it does? Why does that happen? Well, why this, why that? So if I have to pick, that's one of my favorite words. I will say that one of my friends from high school, his favorite word was defenestration, which is the act of throwing someone out the window. And for some reason, I've always remembered when we had that conversation, and I actually, a month or two ago, read that word in a book for the first time ever. So I texted him, I said, hey, I know we haven't talked in ages, like Facebook Messengered him. I said, I know we haven't talked in ages, but this is random. I remember this conversation we had in high school, and I just read this word in a book, and it made me think of you, so hi. Fortunately, he's probably even weirder than I am, at least he was in high school, so it wasn't that odd. Question 5 is 3 weird things of which you are afraid and 1 way which you would prefer not to die. Well, I know one weird things that I'm afraid of is standing on something that is not stable. So, like a dock, like a loose floaty dock in a boat, standing in a boat. If the boat's moving, it's fine, but if I'm standing on it and it's wobbling underneath me, no. I did one of those high ropes things for 4-H in high school. No. So I live in St. Louis. If you go up in the arch on a windy day, I am sitting down because I cannot stand up on that. If I sit down or if I have more points of contact, I'm more okay. But no. Anything like that, I would never be able to live. I watch Bernadette Banner on YouTube, and she lives in New York, and she posted on Instagram stories the other day about how it was so windy there that it's meant to do that, but her building was swaying, and you could see, like, the cord for her blinds, her window blinds, flopping the wall because the building was swaying so much, and I could not live there. I would just be freaked out the whole time. I don't know anything else that I'm like really afraid of, or a way which I'd prefer not to die. I can't really think of any answers for those. Your favorite book as a grade schooler would probably either be Dr. Dolittle, and I don't know if I had a weird copy or what, but I've never been able to find a copy that was like the same text as what I read as a kid. Or more likely, Secret Garden. I read and watched Secret Garden I don't know how many times. That was probably my favorite. Question 7 is, what have your interactions with the police been like? Nothing special. I mean, when I moved down to Fayetteville, it took me a while to understand, like, most people's, like, dislike of cops, because the ones in Fayetteville suck. But the town where I live now, the town where I grew up in, the cops are great. They're nice, they're friendly, they're happy, they're wonderful. That's what I grew up with. Not only did I grow up with these cops in this town, until, like, recently, literally just a couple months ago when they changed laws, my whole life, my dad's had an FFL, which is a federal firearms license. He's a chiropractor, but he sells guns out of his office as well, as like a side business type thing, or he has done. He doesn't as of a couple months ago, but he used to. He did my whole life. So, until I was 12, we lived a few blocks behind my dad's office. And I was homeschooled too, so it wouldn't be, especially in the end of high school, it wouldn't be uncommon for me to come into town and hang out in the office to go to college classes up 30 minutes away. So I was around the office a lot growing up. And I'd be hanging out and there'd just be cops coming and going. Cops for this town, cops for towns nearby, state cops, county ones. There was even an undercover one that I remember because he came in with like a motorcycle and everything, which is really weird to see somebody like that at my dad's office. And so I've just been around cops my whole life, and I've never had a problem with them. I think the only like proper interaction that I myself had was that I got pulled over for speeding a couple of times. But I mean, so yeah, I always grew up around cops, and particularly the ones in this town are just great. So the ones in Fayetteville rather suck, and they're not that great. Also, if you ever go to Fayetteville, Arkansas, and there's a Hogs game on, they block off two-way streets and turn them into one-way streets. I was driving, I was very confused. It was dark. I don't see well in the dark, especially in town. And I only knew one way to get home. And I was driving a stick shift that I had just learned how to drive. And I was like, why is there a cop in the middle of the road? There's no barrier, so it's not blocked off, right? So I went ahead and turned down the road, and he's like, you can't turn down here, this is one way. I'm like, but it's a two-way street, this is the only way I know how to get home. And he had to give me directions to, like, get me off of the turned one way because of a football game, a college football game. They didn't put up barriers. You can't just park a car in the middle of the road and expect people that don't know, that didn't grow up there, to know what's going on. They need barriers. But anyway, that was a mess. He was really rude about it, too. The cops around here would be really nice about something like that, but he was really rude. Like, I'm sorry, I just learned how to drive stick. I don't want to stall the car out in the middle of a major four-way intersection. Don't know another way to get home. Can't see crap. Like, that was the thing. Okay, I'm going to get off my rant and move on to the next question. Question 8 is all-time favorite book cover. I don't have one, really, I don't think. Like, there are ones where I prefer this cover over that cover, but it's not like an all-time favorite or anything. Question 9 is how many places you have lived. I don't know if you mean cities or if it means, like, houses / apartments / whatever. So, I'll do both. I grew up in a house in this town and lived there until I was 12. We moved to a house up in Alhambra, and I lived there until I was like 19. I stayed with my best friend at her house for 2 weeks, and then I moved into an apartment on campus. I lived there for a few months, and then I moved in with a friend of mine on Wood River, campus being Edwardsville, SIU. Best friend's house, also Edwardsville. Moved in with a friend in Wood River, lived there for a few years. Moved down to Fayetteville, stayed with Alex at his parents' house. Moved into an apartment in Fayetteville, and then we moved back up here to the town I grew up in this apartment in the back half of my dad's office in 2017. So, 5 cities, if you count my best friend's house for 2 weeks, which I'm not going to count. So if you don't count that, 7 addresses. Yeah, don't count that because I didn't change my address. So yeah, 7 addresses. Pretty sure that's it. And then question 10 is, tag 11 booktubers that you like and or admire, and why do you like and or admire them? Well, nobody would notice if I tagged them, and I don't know of 11 off the top of my head to choose, but I would recommend checking out Books with Emily Fox. She's really cool. Also, A Book Olive is one of my favorites, and oh, what is her name now? It used to be Unmanaged Mischief. Now it's, oh, I can't think of her. She changed it to her proper name, but I can never think of it. Emily something. She does MLIS Diaries videos. I can't think of it. And Compliment Stripped Cover Lit, who I believe created this tag. So, yay and thank you. So that's it for this tag. If you guys want to do it, go right ahead. I'm just doing it for fun because it entertains me and it gives me something to do when my allergies are bothering me enough that I don't feel like reading. So that's it for this video. Questions, comments, opinions, let me know down below. Otherwise, don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.